Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing if this is something you end up enjoying. Well, this is the top shelf news, but just a quick update. We're back at it. Sorry, it's been some time here and a struggle on the channel. This may be the new setup. This is kind of working for me. New camera, which is just my laptop now. It's not the best quality, but it's what we have here, and we're gonna have to deal with it. So anyway, this is what works. But anyway, this is the top shelf news in fantasy, science fiction, sometimes horror, mostly as it relates to books, but also as it relates to media, and then a little bit of an update because right off the bat. So I'll give links down below where you can jump ahead to the next spot or wherever you want to go to down in the description. And then also don't forget there are Kindle book deals that I like to put up there in the description. But we're going to talk about Kindle. I'm a little frustrated with some changes, but anyway, let's jump into the news about the channel. So first things first, we reached 4,000 subscribers. I usually do a live stream at this point. I haven't done a ton of live streams on the channel. I do want to do more. I really enjoy them. I think they're fun, but here we are. And so I need to be more consistent. And these typically my recording and editing is always just so sporadic and just whenever I can find a moment of time, and so that's a lot of the reason why live streams don't happen all that much, because I feel like you'd have to be a little bit more organized than I'm able to be. So we did reach 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone. That's so cool. What a cool milestone. I just remember interacting with other booktubers when I was at like 100 subscribers and they're at 4,000, being like, oh my gosh, I'll never reach that. And so here we are. And what a wild fun ride it's been. But anyway, let's jump into the news. So the biggest news I thought of the week really is Christopher Rocchio's last book in the Sun Eater series, book 7. It's going to be Shadows Upon Time. It's got a cover that was just revealed on Mike's book reviews, and I love this cover. I think it's great. I've actually remarked on some of the Sun Eater series, mostly the special edition ones where they're just kind of like a couple of people stand in there. I haven't loved it. It's not like I've hated them, but I just haven't like loved, especially because I feel like a special edition, you're paying that extra money, you want that like kind of vibrant and stuff. Anyway, Shadows Upon Time, very vibrant. The only thing I was just like, does the sword seem just like a little short? But I mean, it's probably just a short sword. That's what it's intended to be. I just felt like it looked a little weird. But that was the only criticism I have. It is awesome. I think this is so cool. And congrats to Christopher Rocchio for getting this whole series done. I mean, what an amazing feat. And I can't wait to continue to read it because I'm still stuck on book 1 and I need to get back into it. Other big author news, we had another update from, and this is where I had filmed some news. I had to just trash the whole thing because of a lot of things, because news keeps evolving, and one of them was that Rocchio thing where we had some changes there. But Jim Butcher, Dresden Files update, he is now, as of February 19th, that's what he posted on Twitter/X, 12 months is written. It's been submitted to the editors, and so this is great news. We should have this later this year. There's no like set exact times, but I imagine if it's in the editor's hands right now, we're getting this maybe even by fall, maybe even by summer. I mean, depending on what they think will make them the most money, I'm sure is really the only thing that it comes down to. All right, then Travis Baldree, who's one of my favorite audiobook narrators, has this little series that's kind of become a TikTok book talk darling, Legends and Lattes. And so he's actually got a sequel to this book. There's technically going to be the third book in this series, the Legends and Lattes series. It's going to be Brigands and Bread Knives. They're pretty funny and clever titles, because this is considered, I haven't read them, but they're considered cozy fantasy. And so they're not like, I think the tagline is like a novel of high fantasy and low stakes. There you go. That's what it says on the back. I can read. All right. Anyway, and it sounds like it's a fun series. But again, the second book, Bookshops and Bone Dust, is actually a prequel, as I understand it. And so therefore, Brigands and Bread Knives is actually book 2 in that series, so that'll be cool. Then we've got Sebastian de Castell has got an update for us, a sequel to the Malevolent 7. It's the Malevolent 8. So we got an Ocean's 11 type theme here. We have a release date, May 22nd, 2025. So that's pretty quick. That's pretty soon here. And that's an author. He's been on my list. I have really good friends that have recommended this author, and I just feel like his stuff's going to be right up my alley, so I need to get there. All right, then, we just keep going down the list. There's so many things that I missed in the last couple weeks when I have failed to do my top shelf news. So Janny Wirtz has been working hard on her novella. It's a sequel to The Gallant, which is a prequel novella, so I assume the sequel will also be a prequel, and it's coming together, as she states. So that's great news, or taking shape, I should say. She said she doesn't say coming together. I don't know why I'm quoting that. But it's coming, it's taking shape, and so that's good. She is very clear that she takes her time. She takes the time that's needed on her work. I feel like she's always dependable in that she is doing that and getting it done, unlike some authors. I'm looking at you, George. And where I just am not convinced they're really taking the time to do it. Because I feel like even just, if anything, reading has taught me, if you're just consistent, you're going to finish things, right? And even if you just are able to finish, 1 page a day, right, in reading, then you can read a whole 365-page novel in a year. And if you read a couple pages, imagine how that goes. If you read 10 pages, you're reading a 300-page novel in about a month. And so you just stay consistent with that. That's the thing. That's the biggest secret to reading that people always ask. How do you read so much? You just do it every day, right? There's days when, obviously life happens, but you still just do it, and you just read less pages that day, and then you read more on another day. It's just how it is. And so a lot of this is, I always know, I feel like, again, that Janny Wirtz we can count on her, that she consistently is putting in the work. And again, not that she has to, not that she owes anyone anything. She has now finished her series, and kudos to her. I just love it. All right, Philip Chase, fellow booktuber, which I could barely say, but I'm now up to 4,000 subscribers, so I am getting there. But he does quite well, and I love it. But he's got a new, not only cover, but new book coming out here. It's While Darkness Gathers, and the art on this is by Tall Shepherd, Jack Shepherd, I think, but Jack is what he's known as, Jack Tall Shepherd on Twitter, and I'm putting things together, but Tall Shepherd is the artwork. I love this artwork. It's stained glass dragon. How cool is that? I love the kind of theme that Philip Chase has on these books so far. It really gives it this like epic fantasy kind of vibe, and I love it. Did I mention I love it? But Philip Chase is great. I just absolutely love his channel and love so many things, and still love loving things. Then we got Richard Swan, author of a bunch of favorite books on BookTube, I believe Book Talk too, but he's got The Infinite State, his first published novel in sci-fi. So that'll be cool. It says, at least what I read was, it's The Expanse meets Red Rising, which are two great things that I think will be good. I love Red Rising, and I love The Expanse. So that's a great series. Leviathan Wakes, all that. So anyway, very cool. And again, congrats to Richard Swan. We got potential. These are always like, you never know. I assume it's going to be probably reached because he's not George R. Martin. Man, there's a lot of George R. Martin hate today. I'm sorry. August 2026 is going to be that potential release date. You never know. Then we got another booktuber that's got a book, and so we got Destiny's Doom. This is actually the third book in Von Roycroft's trilogy, so the last in the trilogy. March 18th it comes out, Destiny's Doom, and it's the third in the Sundered Nation trilogy. So very cool. They all look really good. I love these covers on these. So anyway, just make me want to read them alone, but wanted to make sure you knew about that. Always love the indie news too. This was actually a story on Daniel Green's channel before he got canceled and then uncanceled, which again, all the videos have gone out and apologies have gone out to Daniel Green, and I'm glad at least that it sounds like we're heading in the right direction now, and he's back to fantasy news. And that was a pretty quick turnaround, it seems like. So I'm good for him for weathering that storm, frankly, and you know, the internet's so quick to know everything, and it's kind of crazy. And that was a good exercise in maybe waiting for all the facts to come out, maybe waiting for due process to have its say. And man, but there are a lot of people that are willing to anonymously write just the worst comments that you can possibly imagine. And I don't know why that's called for, and why that isn't just, I mean, at least on some kind of level, just as bad as what they're complaining about. But anyway, I digress. Daniel Green's news that he made mention was that apparently author blurbs on books are going to be no more. I don't know if that means all blurbs on books. I assume because there's going to be review places and whatnot that they can always pull other kinds of blurbs, but actually getting authors to do it, they're going to be no more, at least as far as Simon & Schuster's concerned. Maybe others. I do find sometimes I like a good blurb on a book, and now I'm getting a little general because I'm misinterpreting this on purpose to be just any blurb, but one of my favorite blurbs is on my copy of The Ghost Brigades by John Scalzi, which says, by the Dallas Morning News, on Ghost Brigades, if Stephen King were to try his hand at science fiction, he'd be lucky to be half as entertaining as John Scalzi. So many things wrong with that, but I love it that it is just so absurdly stupid that I love to bring it out, because Stephen King has done science fiction a couple times, at least in The Running Man, The Long Walk, arguably. I believe The Tommyknockers, isn't that science fiction to some degree? I don't know. But anyway, but he also isn't trying to be like, it's because he's trying to be funny, and he has hilarious parts. They're just two different authors going for different things. Anyway, just it cracks me up every time that I think about it. So I thought about it again, and now you have to. Then I watched a really good video from Criminali, who's got a great channel that you should definitely check out and subscribe to. But you probably are more likely to be subscribed to that than my channel anyway. But Amazon is changing the way that you own Kindle books. And so I definitely recommend, I'll have it linked down below. But there are concerns. These, it's kind of getting to, it sounds like some kind of, obviously more and more like subscriptions are like the big thing in business. And if you can get somebody on the hook all, to constantly be paying for things, it's just a little frustrating. So I hope this isn't really the case, but it sounds like it's already the case. So essentially you're not owning them as much anymore. It's Amazon owns them, and you're kind of just kind of, you get to read them. It's hard because you're like, well, I paid money for it though. Sometimes as much as like a paperback or even the hardcover, because they charge a lot for these Kindle books. Sometimes, most of mine, I'll be honest, are I own through Deals, and that's going to be the majority. I own a lot through just people giving me advanced reading copies, but I hate that so much, but it is kind of how also Audible is functioning, and I'm sure it's just kind of like you get the opportunity to read it from them, which again, I mean, and so, Criminali, I mean, makes the point is like, he's like, go download your stuff if you can. It's probably too late, but these practices are frustrating to me because it's like, well, we don't actually own them. And then, I mean, one of the articles I read on that just popped up, one of the first ones when you Google it, is, if you don't actually own them, then you're not actually pirating them, right? I don't like encouraging piracy, and I don't, in fact, but that is frustrating that this seems to kind of encourage it to have this business. People don't need much. You already have the argument, well, I could just get it for free from the library, so I might as well pirate it. which again has so many issues with that logic. And I'm happy to discuss if you want, but it is still piracy. And it's still piracy even if Amazon changes things. I just don't love it, and there's got to be different ways. So it does make me go, all right, maybe we got to rethink some things about how we get our books. Maybe not from Amazon. All right, let's get into the media news. I do have just a couple bits. One of them is Murderbot. We got a couple of pictures, just very little, but from Skarsgård. It looks pretty cool. I'm very excited. I love the Murderbot diaries. They're very great. Martha Wells just does a wonderful job. It's just there's the humor, and it's great. It's sci-fi. It's great sci-fi. Anyway, it is just a really fun take on robots. So definitely excited for this. Definitely, I mean, it looks good from the barely anything that we've seen so far. So this comes out actually very soon, I understand. So we're looking at getting released pretty quickly here. Unless Editing Bryce says otherwise. All right, last thing is I just wanted to kind of comment on Rings of Power. Apparently, it dropped 60% from Season 1 to Season 2 in watch time minutes. I can say I watched Season 1 and I have not watched Season 2, so I'm part of the problem, for sure. I didn't think it was terrible. I liked certain episodes. I just thought overall I struggled with it, and that it doesn't do it doesn't do justice to the Lord of the Rings, frankly. I just feel like it's such this, like, there's just some really just stale characterizations, and anyway, I struggled with it, but I promised friends who love it that I will continue, and I still haven't, but I do want to, and I plan to. Part of it is just a timing issue. I want to watch other things like Severance right now, and I'm getting ready for Reacher. But anyway, that's understandable, though, that there's going to be that. Anyway, it's sad news because it just felt like it could be so much more. I've had the conversation, like, maybe because I know too much, and that's what makes it a struggle. More you're going, like, that's not part of the history. Whereas if you don't know much about it and you go in blind, it's kind of a fun, adventure story and whatnot. But anyway, don't forget there are Kindle deals down below. We'll debate on whether that's going to continue to happen. But anyway, especially with the recent news. But thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for getting back on track and staying with me here. Again, thanks for the 4,000 subscribers. I think it's so cool. We're still moving on and moving up, and we'll catch you next time. I'll schedule a live stream here soon, so I'm excited to do that. But anyway, we still got things going, still got read-alongs going, and we'll catch you next time again. Bye.